MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming. I don't know why. Welcome to MedBix Webcast. This is Raman Anamraju. No, I'm not Albert Einstein. My guest speaker is he is really a distinguished professor of clinical pathology in University of Urbana-Champaign in Chicago, and then he published several peer-reviewed papers, journals in journals around the world. He's an international speaker at national and international speaker in pathology. So I'm going to interview him. So I change a little bit times, if you notice it or not. Thursdays we'll try at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and see if it works or not. It's kind of a new timings for us. But, the reason I do that in the 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. PST is most of the doctors and everybody, they go home after the dinner, they can relax and watch my show. That's the reason I do that at the 9 p.m. But we want to change it one day and see 12 o'clock this time it works or not. But I'm going to talk with let me bring Dr. Krish Tangella. He's neck of my woods, and he is a distinguished professor of clinical pathology, as I said. And we want to find out what's going on in pathology. It is so critical. They're the directors of the clinical care. So we'll find out what is advances going on in pathology. Let me bring him. Welcome, Dr. Tangella.
Hello, hi, Ramana. Thanks for having me.
So, you're a professor of pathology. You have a lot of distinguished career, and you're in private practice. Tell me, what do you do? What does a pathologist do in general, in a couple of sentences?
Sure. So, pathologists are physicians who do diagnostic medicine in a clinical laboratory. There are two types of pathology practices. One is called clinical pathology, and other is called anatomic pathology. Clinical pathology deals with mostly, if not all, mostly deals with running a clinical lab, making sure machines are running well, making sure the results are accurate and reliable, and taking care of the blood bank, issuing the right blood to the right patient after the right amount of testing. So that's mostly the clinical lab portion. And then there is a component of pathology practice that's called anatomic pathology, where the pathologist makes a diagnosis by looking at the slides under a microscope. And this biopsies could be anything. It could be a small tissue from a skin or breast, or it could be a large specimens such as a hysterectomy specimen, a mastectomy specimen, which is a whole breast removal, or sometimes whole lung is taken out for cancers. So, so those are the two main areas of practice of pathology. Of course, I've given you a very broad perspective of what pathology is, but pathology is extremely nuanced field with over 30 to 40 different subspecialties.
Yeah.
And there are pathologists who get board certified and get fellowship trained in these areas of subspecialties. And depending on where they're practicing, their practice may be limited to that area.
Yeah.
In a tertiary center. Again, the pathologists have two types of practices. One is community practice, the other is academic center practice. The flavor of the type of cases one sees in academic centers are different than flavor of cases one sees in a community practice.
Yeah.
Vast majority of the pathologists in the country, there are about 17, 18,000 pathologists. Uh, they are, community-based pathologists.
Most of the pathologists, people think that they do autopsies, but actually, you're saying clinical pathology is a more of administrative position. Anatomical, I didn't even know. Anatomical pathology is mostly you're the clinical, actually looking at the
Yeah.
samples and everything else.
So
So,
both are actual practice of medicine. Clinical pathology also is a practice of medicine where there's a lot of clinical decision making that needs to happen from a pathologist perspective. It takes a lot of effort to run a clinical lab. Um, so let's not discount the role of a clinical pathologist. Uh, Coming to anatomic pathology and autopsies, there is a most of the pathologists um, are trained to do autopsies, and depending on the facility, whether they are capable of doing autopsy services or not, uh, autopsies may be performed or referred to local hospitals uh, for further workup. And there is, of course, the forensic pathology,
yeah.
which deals with autopsies in situations of criminality or suspicious deaths, and that is a field of subspecialization of anatomic pathology, and there is a board certification for forensic pathologists, and for these pathologists, actually, depending on the state, they can either be a medical examiner or a coroner uh, in various counties. So that's another different field of subspecialty of pathology. There are quite a few friends of mine uh, who do forensic pathology as their primary source of practice, and they enjoy it.
In most cases, the surgeons and other people send you the samples, mostly surgeons, right? Send
Yes,
samples and then tissue samples, and then you examine them in your diagnostic equipment and determine what kind of a, or particularly what kind of pathology they have. Just give me a rundown on that. How do they do that? And what do you do that next step when you get a sample? How do they do biopsy? They take a biopsy and send you the sample, and what do you do after that once you get the sample?
sure. So, so when a clinician, I say clinician as a broad term, when a physician sees a patient, um, they may require a biopsy. The biopsy could be of any part of the body. Some biopsies can be performed on outpatient basis. Some have to be performed in an outpatient surgery center or performed in a inpatient hospital setting. Um, for example, skin biopsies can be performed are usually performed in an outpatient setting. If you get a breast biopsy, it can be performed on an outpatient setting in a breast radiology center. Um, you can also get endocervical curettings, endometrial biopsies that are also done in a hospital setting. Then you have specimens that are taken out, such as full breasts or uh, full uterus that are done in a not on outpatient, but mostly in a hospital or outpatient surgery center uh, situation.
You
So
know, yeah.
yeah,
Dr. Tangela, the biggest threat to the woman is breast cancer. So let us run down on that breast cancer. When the radiologist or surgeon send you, interventional radiologist or surgeon sends you sample, what kind of pathologies you look at it? How does that the whole thing runs in the pathology?
right,
You are the director and you are the final say. Can you give us some idea on that one, how it goes?
sure. So journey of a uh, patient um, who has a abnormal breast lesion or a mass in the breast starts off with a mammogram or a self exam of the breast. And either self-exam or physician exam of the breast or a mammography screening exam will tell us whether the that lesion needs to be biopsied or not. Once the biopsy is done, then it comes to pathology, and we process the tissue and end up making slides. We examine the slides under the microscope, and we give a variety of different information. We perform special studies on them, and then we give additional information. Um, and then sometimes we send out the breast tissue for further molecular workup to give more data on the breast cancer. So when the breast biopsy comes to me as a prime pathologist, I tell them what kind of breast cancer it is, if it is a cancer. Um, it is infiltrating ductal carcinoma or infiltrating lobular carcinoma. These are the two most common type of invasive cancers. There are other type of specialized breast cancers that can also occur. So basically, I would classify the type of cancer it is. Then I will tell information about the grade of the tumor. Is it grade 1, grade 2, grade 3? And then I would tell whether there is um, angiolymphatic invasion, whether it's whether I see the tumor cells within the blood vessels or not. Then I also give information whether there is ductal carcinoma in situ, which is cancer localized to the ducts or sometimes just to the lobules. That's called lobular carcinoma in situ. And then I do special markers for receptor status, which is extremely important. Estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor are the two common ones we do. So patients can be treated with hormonal therapy. I also do a special study called
What is the
KR.
receptor say? Can you explain the receptors part a little bit more?
Yes. So let me finish, the kind of information I give to the doctor, and then I'll go into the need for hormonal receptor status. Um, Then, after I give the proliferative, how fast the tumor is proliferating, I also give information on the HER2 status, which is extremely important because there's a medication called Herceptin that can be given for patient. So these are receptor status that we give. Now, we give the physicians information on the diagnosis. We give information on prognosis, basically talking about the grade of the tumor and the proliferative index of the tumor. And then we give them predictive markers such as a hormonal receptor, which helps the doctors make a decision whether to give certain treatment or not give certain treatment. So there are three types of categories of information a pathologist gives to the doctor. It's called the diagnostic information, prognostic information, and predictive information. You talked about uh,
Receptors.
hormonal status. So, estrogen receptor and progesterone receptor are two common hormonal receptor status. It has been very well known that there are uh, there are there are many breast cancers that are proliferating and driven by the presence of hormones. So when we test for estrogen receptor and progesterone receptor, and if it is positive, the treating oncologists can use hormonal receptor blockers or hormonal blockers to treat the cancer because it starves the tumor of that hormone by giving the blockers. So it helps you in the treatment decision making. So that's the reason why we do hormonal receptor status analysis.
I don't want to leave men. What about the prostate cancer situations? What do you do?
So, in prostate cancers, usually the prostate cancers are diagnosed by your primary care physicians by doing PSA testing. If the PSA is increased, of course, it can be increased because of benign conditions such as inflammation or infections, or it can be due to cancer. So, what is more important in a PSA analysis is a terminology called PSA velocity. PSA velocity is the rate of change of PSA over time. And so one study, of course, is important, but you have two studies or three studies within a period of time, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or 2 years, and you see the change in rate of increase, which is called the PSA velocity. It'll help you predict with higher degree of probability whether you may have cancer or not. Of course, the diagnostic test for prostate cancer is actually prostate biopsies, and these prostate biopsies are performed uh, as needle core biopsies usually, and it comes to the pathologist again. We look at the prostate biopsies and tell you the type of prostate cancer it is, and then also tell you the grade. We call it the Gleason grade of prostate cancer. The higher the grade, the more aggressive the cancer is. And depending on that, treatment protocols are put into place, which includes hormonal um, manipulation of the patient. Sometimes some of these prostate cancers are driven by androgen receptors and testosterone, stimulating the tumor growth. So you could give hormonal receptor status blockers to the patient to control the cancer growth. Sometimes, depending on the patient clinical history and also the overall health of the patient, you might be able to do a uh, further surgery, such as prostatectomy, where the whole prostate is taken out, Ramana. And and then when that specimen comes to me, I examine it, tell you the grade of the tumor, tell you how much extension of the tumor is. It is the right side of the prostate, left side of the prostate, involves both sides. Then I also tell what are the margins. There is extra capsular invasion of the prostate cancer. I also give information whether the prostate has infiltrated the nerves, which is called perineural invasion. So, and also there are seminal vesicles that are taken out during a prostatectomy, and involvement of seminal vesicles indicates more advanced stage of the cancer, prostate cancer. These are the kind of information. I'm giving you a very high, broad overview.
Yes.
I don't want to go into details and confuse your audience.
Yeah. So I don't. We don't need it. It's just a general pathology. Let us go back one step backwards. When you get slides, when you take this slide, when you get the tissue samples, you make a slides and then look at it. Can you do you where the artificial intelligence comes? I wanted to ask you about when you do you digitize those the slides and then use the artificial intelligence algorithms to predict and diagnose the process.
So you just alluded to the most fascinating field of medicine, which is using AI to diagnose cancer. And people always ask me, is AI going to change the diagnostic practice of pathologists and eliminate my job? Uh, so so what I say here is that uh, uh, the the answer is most likely yes. There are technologies here which help do image analysis. I have published numerous papers actually on image analysis of label-free tissue, where we are able to um, get a AI and ML algorithm to diagnose prostate cancers with certain degrees of specificity and sensitivity, which is pretty high actually, but not good enough as a pathologist yet. But the more we train, supervised training of the machine learning occurs, the higher degree the positive predictive value of the image analysis results would be. So these are exciting times. Um, uh, you can you can look at AI and machine learning image analysis on PubMed. There are numerous groups that are studying this currently. There are also studies being done on other type of cancers where image analysis could help you diagnose certain type of skin cancers. Is it basal cell carcinoma versus squamous cell carcinoma as opposed to melanoma? Um, it'll really be interesting to see how fast this technology is going to come into clinical side of medicine. I won't be surprised within 10 years. A lot of the a lot of the tissues at least have some component of image analysis initially done, and then the final result is rendered by a pathologist after confirming the image analysis.
One of the prohibitive factors, is it possible that prohibitive factor could be the getting data from different centers, medical centers, different hospitals, feeding to the AI? That is a big challenge. Do you agree with that?
At this point, yes, I would say that because the technology is very nascent, trying to feed the machine learning requires a lot of different types of cancers, a lot of um, subtypes of cancers, and there are a lot of benign conditions that mimic cancers. So the data set has to be pretty large for the AI and ML algorithms to for humans to have a degree of confidence where we can say, you know what, the machine diagnosis is fine. Um, I would agree with you that because of you know, uh, because of the
Yes.
institutions that are isolated right now who are doing these studies, more and more images have to be fed into the system for the systems to get better. But in my opinion, you don't need uh, too many. Um, uh, you don't need
A lot of data. That's what you're saying.
hundreds and thousands of slides for a machine to learn what an
Really? I
image
didn't.
analysis. No, not at all. Uh, of course, human intelligence and human brain power is at a completely different level than a AI ML technology we have right now for pathology image analysis. But if you really think about it, a pathologist does 5 years of training. Full-time training is 2,000 hours a year, 10,000 hours of training. Um, so, but a machine can learn, 24 hours a day and nonstop. There's no fatigue, and it can do a much better image recognition than humans over a short period of time. So, I think the volume of cases that a AI ML algorithm needs to see to arrive at a certain degree with a good degree of confidence is not large number of cases.
You know, when I got involved with the imaging business sometimes. So the breast cancer is one of the higher. You know, the mammogram is like a finding a needle in the haystack. It is. You think in the future by using slides, biopsies, pathology, molecular diagnostics, all of them combined, make it accelerated, predict much earlier in the breast cancer. Do you think that? Do you expect that?
So technology currently exists where a mammogram can be run through an algorithm called CAD, computerized assisted diagnosis, and they give you what they call is a BIRAT scores, and the higher the score, the more suspicious the lesion is. So currently, the technology exists right now, and many of the radiologists actually use the BIRAT score and issue radiology reports. Um, so that technology that you're talking about of having a radiological image analysis to diagnose suspicious breast cancers but needs biopsies is already here. It's already in clinical practice. It's happening in my clinical practice, and that's why the number of breast cancers that are diagnosed earlier um, is uh, is is happening more often, and we are able to diagnose breast cancers at much earlier stages. Stage is a very critical factor in cancer prognosis, um, and and early stage cancers uh, can be cured uh, easily through intervention.
Dr. Tangela, there's the most in Silicon Valley, they misuse the term AI. AI and the machine learning. There is a two distinguish. There are two different kind of a meaning to it. AI is you're creating your own intelligence, and machine learning is learned from the predictive. Is mostly predictive process. Learn something and predict the next steps. That's what actually most of the computers algorithms are doing is predictive analysis. So AI is coming up with the new laws, new things, that is not there yet. We are at the machine learning stage where we are at, and that's what the algorithms actually is not the technology, is the science behind it is called entropy algorithms. I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But thank you. Is a lot. You're always wealth of information. That tell me about DowMed a little bit, 1 minute, and then I'll go on my presentation.
Sure. Just before I go to DovMed, I just want to point out that the word AI is often misused, like you pointed out. Um, I like to use the terminology intelligence enhancer. It should be called IE. So, artificial intelligence is the wrong word. Um, I think what so-called AI does is takes our intelligence and then enhances it.
Yeah.
So I think we should start using the word intelligence enhancers, and then ML is a completely different. They should not be even mentioned together to confuse people. But unfortunately, everybody talks about AI. They have to mention ML, otherwise, it's not right. But there's definitely a distinct difference between IE and ML, as I call it. Uh, so thank you for letting me talk about a little bit about DovMed. DovMed is a health information platform. Uh, we have It's an enterprise level platform where we have multiple different products that we have built out. They are live. You can go and play with them. Um, some of the products uh, are are created for patients. Some of the products are created for healthcare professionals, and some products are created for both healthcare professionals and healthcare seekers, such as patients. The idea is that when patients and healthcare providers and physicians come together into a common platform, uh, then it creates an environment where a better healthcare can occur using technology. And DovMed has done that. We have over 15 million visitors to DovMed since we started, and they use our content. We have over 40,000 pieces of healthcare content written for patients. Um, and we are creating newer contents that are all physician approved, and our products consume this content and bring together patients and the physicians together. And the DovMed's uh, mission is to create a platform where health information gives a better life, you know, and there's an access issue in the country when it comes to healthcare. It's DovMed's intention and vision to uh, improve healthcare access in a convenient manner. We are all using wearable devices. We are using, iPhones that are getting more and more powerful now, mobile tablets, and it'll then the next phase of world is you have a mobile device in your hand where the doctor is right there and trying to improve your health based on technology. So that's what DovMed is doing. Please visit dovmed.com. Uh, Check out some of our products we have. Most of them are free. And if you have your audience, please let them know. And we are always trying to improve our processes and systems, Ramana. If there's feedback to improve our products, your feedback will be greatly appreciated.
It is always delightful and a privilege to talk with you. Thank you so much. It's a wealth of information always, and dovmed.com enhances that information. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Ramana. Have a nice day.
Yeah, good. Let me present to the algorithms now. That's a distinguished professor of pathology, Dr. Krishna Tangella, and I'm going to talk about algorithms a little bit. Let me do that. I'm going to talk about something strange. I don't know why this background is I want to take the background out. Yeah, I don't know. How can I? That background is killing me. I
No
got to get
problem. Maybe I can exit here.
no. If you want to stay here, more than welcome. That I love to have you.
Yes, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you run the show. I'll step out if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you
But
so much for having
thank
me.
you so much. Please watch my program after that. So you always watch my program. Thank you. That this is entropy. I'm going to talk about entropy. It is connected with Twitter, information, software products, gods, universe, aging, demons. Everything is entropy is connected. We don't even understand it. I'm trying to take this background. I don't know why this background is killing me. I don't like it. Um, where is the background? Maybe default background. Rounded? No, default background. And let me say this background out a little bit if I can do it. I don't know how to take it out. I have to find out. Okay. So anyway, that is I have to do that. There is something going on here. There, this technology is always challenging, right? But what is entropy algorithm? Entropy is a. I'm going to play a video on entropy, and then you will know a little bit about entropy. Let me play that video for you. Hello, my name is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm going to introduce you to one of the most enigmatic and elusive concepts in the entire field of science from my book, Science is Not a Subject, Science Must Be a Lifestyle. The concept is called entropy. I'm focusing on one aspect of entropy related to information and its connection with the present day healthcare challenges. Entropy is like a ghost, but it is a mean one. You don't see it, you cannot talk to it, it never leaves you, it threatens your job, it tries to destroy your health, it affects your performance, it follows you wherever you go and whatever you do. You feel and see only its destruction. It is not your competitor you need to worry. You need to worry about this elusive ghost. It is your enemy number one. Please pay attention. It makes a difference in your career, in your job, and your duties. If you are a policymaker, you have to understand the impact of money and the economy of your citizens. If you are the CEO of a healthcare system, you have to be concerned about access and equity for all your members. And if you are a software engineer, you need to analyze simplicity versus complexity with your user experience design. As I mentioned before, entropy is your number one enemy. It is true what they say, know your enemy first, then you can come up with a strategy to deal with it. We need to start with the question how much you know and how much you don't know about a system you're working on. This is not some philosophical or a new age question. You have to quantify with the numbers. It is a scientific question to the core. The answer is not that easy. Fortunately, there was a guy, smarter than all of us, gave a stunning insight. His name is Ludwig Boltzmann, an Austrian physicist, lived in the latter part of 1800s, came up with a statistical formula for known versus unknown. It is not just a formula, it is a law, second law of thermodynamics. In urban slang, we call it as a law of entropy. The law is not limited to known versus unknown, it is present everywhere, materials and processes and even life itself. Entropy is a true measure of your ignorance of a system. You may say, I don't know a lot of things, but I know what I know, and what I don't know, I don't know. This statement may seem right before you know about the law of entropy. The law of entropy says the unknown does not sit idle. It is constantly attacking your known systems. Entropy wants you to become ignorant and leaves you in constant confusion. It creates a chaos, your understanding of any system dwindling every day by law of entropy. Only way out is to fight it. Entropy is a tough concept to comprehend. I will do my best here with a simple example. You see a picture of a teacup with the 2 sugar cubes in the bottom, and the top teacup is mixed with the sugar. Adding 2 cubes of sugar makes you happier, but your happiness does not come for free. I know sugar prices are going up. Still worse, the law of entropy says your ignorance is also going up. You have known knowledge that there are 2 sugar cubes. Since you know something makes the bottom cup low entropy state. Now, when you mix the sugar, you turn the simple system into a complex system. Even if I ask you, you cannot get sugar cubes back. Sugar is melted away and you lost all the information about the sugar cubes. The irreversibility of the process increases the state of entropy. In a split second, you made the top cup in a higher entropy state. Known system became an unknown. Just it applies to a teacup, this irreversibility is evident everywhere and everything you do. A simple realization that if you create a process for your company with some data variables, the complexity slowly seeps in. It means you lost control of your process and the information becomes chaotic. But if you keep tabs on what it takes to reverse the process to the initial state, it saves you time, money, and energy. You are keeping the ghost of entropy at bay. Life itself is a low entropy system. Zoom in or zoom out, your cells to your entire body do hand-to-hand combat with the law of entropy to keep you healthy and alive. Your number one enemy is waiting at outskirts of your life and your company. Boltzmann revealed this book of knowledge and wisdom about the universe with his famous equation. He could not convince his peers about his theory. Later, Boltzmann committed suicide, and his famous formula was written on his tombstone. Devil also, like numbers. Chaos may be its nickname, but it is speaking the nature's language, that is mathematics. Cancer is cellular chaos. There is no diagnostic equipment can measure the exact progression, but with the entropy algorithms, you can extract patterns from seemingly chaotic information. One such algorithm came from an unrelated field, football. Yes, game of soccer. Soccer fanatics wanted to know who is going to win the World Cup that is being held every 4 years. The fans include a number of scientists. They created an algorithm called World Cup Optimization Algorithm. I don't know how much it is useful in predicting the World Cup winner, but it is helping to detect and predict the progression of cancer. They are testing with the cancer of melanoma and breast cancer. Boltzmann gave the formula for entropy, but a brilliant mathematician and engineer at the Bell Labs, which became AT&T now, gave a different twist to the concept of entropy. His name is Claude Elwood Shannon. The theory bears his name. It is called Shannon entropy. According to Shannon, the information is central to all processes.
Did, which I think he's very widely known for, is this notion of a fundamental limit. No matter what you do, as long as you're working with a certain amount of bandwidth, and as long as you're dealing with signals that are only so strong in the face of noise that you confront, no matter what you do, you cannot transmit more than a certain rate.
Here is one remarkable example how you can employ Shannon entropy to healthcare equity and access. The world of medicine made a huge progress in diagnostics and treatments, but healthcare delivery systems are not. A significant number of people on the planet don't see those benefits. Health inequities you can witness in rural and urban America's landscape, and worse, everywhere else. Health delivery system is riddled with complexities. It may be partially political, but it is also filled with logistical complexities. Variants like remote geography, disease burden, and economic backgrounds, to name a few. Where there is a complexity, law of entropy shines. Shannon entropy is successfully utilized by countries like Iran, Turkey, and Greece to address the inequities in healthcare delivery by allocating and utilizing existing resources more efficiently. Truly a remarkable tribute to human mind how an obscure 18th century physicist from Austria and 21st century brilliant mathematician from MIT can help humanity by discovering the hidden laws of nature. Thank you for listening. You can read in my book further. Science is not a subject, science must be a lifestyle. But yeah, so entropy is a concept. Is not abstract. It follows even a chaos is a follow some mathematics. So that is you need to you understand that. So where is AI entropy can be useful? Actually, you can see the vision of AI in my view. Okay, that vision of AI. Let me come to this side. Oh, this is a problem. I don't know. I'll try to get rid of this background and I can't get rid of it background. Okay. But AI, healthcare is, there is a, I will step out. No. Maybe just a minute. This technology is really painful. Okay. So AI, healthcare, you can use a 15 vital signs by just looking at the phone. You can detect the heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, heart rate variability, even the breast cancer you can detect through just simple phone. No probes required, nothing. That's new algorithms, entropy algorithm. AI, they talk about AI. AI is just overused term. Actually, entropy is the algorithm that detects all these things. The science is the behind it. So entropy algorithms are that I'll show you a video how this impossible idea of just looking at the phone you can find out all these diseases. I'm going to play a small clip. Is a from strange and okay. Jesus, some days I don't know how to get rid of it. Okay, so the secrets, that simply by looking, that Israeli startup company is doing this by looking at it, by looking at just phone, you can detect all these several diagnoses. You can make a several diagnosis. That's amazing, right? We also find a secret hidden in ECG, electrocardiogram. Autonomic system, for example, so people, monks who are meditating in this in the caves in the frigid temperatures. How can they do that? They found out when you do the EKG on them, they found out they're doing hibernation. They are reducing their autonomic functions. They're reducing their blood pressure. They're they're by thought process, reducing the heart rate. So they're reducing the heart rate and everything, they're reducing, hibernating almost. That's the reason the autonomic function, their autonomic functions are automatic. You don't have control. But by thought process, monks are doing that. They're controlling the autonomic system. That's an amazing. So actually, I gave a EKG 20 years ago to my nephew. He's on the top left, Ravi. He works for GE now. He writes programs there. I told him, when I gave the EKG machine, PC-based machine 20 years ago, just when the laptops are coming out, I told him, understand the EKG first very well, because that is the key for everything in cardiology. I told him that. So, because now the Mayo Clinic is doing it with a simple stethoscope, with the echo digital stethoscope, you can find all these things. Cardiology is a data-driven specialty. So you can find irregular heartbeat, that's called atrial fibrillation, thickening of heart muscles, for example, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, heart muscle doesn't pump enough, congestive heart failure, and potassium levels, hyperkalemia, valve disease. All you can find out through one stethoscope, digitally, digital stethoscope with ECG on it. Eventually, I won't be surprised if it moves to this simple, straightforward phone. These are all done by algorithms. Entropy is involved inside. Entropy kind of algorithms are involved behind the scene. So that's fascinating. So healthcare, entropy algorithms are everywhere. You're in EEG analysis for the electroencephalograph, to epilepsy, to sleep problems, all those things you can do. EEG, entropy algorithms they use. On the right-hand side, all the names of the algorithms I mentioned, APN, approximate entropy, simple entropy, multi-scale entropy. These are algorithms you can use to find the sleep studies. Vital sign monitoring, for example, you can predict a lot of things. And anesthesia monitoring, about how much you can give the anesthesia, because that's very critical in the surgery, during surgery. So these are all done by entropy algorithms. Actually, AI is a overused rate. Entropy algorithm is real science behind it. That's what it does. The next one, I will say, so entropy is connected with your knowledge, and entropy is connected with your ignorance. More ignorant you are, entropy is higher. It's a very strange connection. Is a knowledge, if you have more knowledge, entropy is lesser. That's a less. So, how is connected to demons? And James Maxwell is 18th century physicist, came up with the electromagnetic wave equation, electromagnetic equations for the light. But he had a suspicion about second law of thermodynamics, which is that everything goes from order to disorder, goes good to bad. He said that I can change that. So he came up with a thought experiment, a demon sitting down there in a box. And then it's a thought experiment. He says that demon opens up, there's a lot of gas particles inside, they're moving around. He says that the fast moving particles are put on the right side, and the slow moving particles are put on the left side. So by doing that, fast moving particles have a kinetic energy, so they produce heat, so you can cook food. And the slow moving particle you can use for the refrigeration. Refrigeration is a free machine. Brilliant idea. But there is a flawed argument inside. That flawed argument is exposed. What that flawed argument is, that's like a perpetual machine. Everything is free energy. I can cook and store for free. But there is a flawed argument. And that flawed argument is, it thinks demon is for free. Demons need to have memory. So demon, if he doesn't have memory, he doesn't know which one to where to put it. So demon, that limit is actually mathematically computed by Landau limit. It's called 0.0175 electronic volts for every bit it consumes. So an information as a computational connection. So it is a very important in the computers, in fact. So the daemon needs even the memory, so that memory costs. So you can work on a couple of sandwiches. We do a lot of things, but there is energy that's going on in our brain. That is we need to count that. So even getting gold, it is second law of thermodynamics. Entropy is sometimes bad. Here is a bad. Is entropy is we are marching towards the destruction. We're marching to the disorder. So being old is order to disorder. You can go to plastic surgeon and then move back, but you cannot move back all the way because he doesn't have information all the way when you were 16 or 18. You can't do that. So he can bring you a little bit better. Maybe sagging skin, he can get rid of it, but nothing much you could do. That is because he doesn't have information. So entropy is a law of entropy, is a marching towards the end of the. Not only it is for the aging of our own age, it does everything is order to disorder. That's it's a goal, marching towards the disorder. There's no second, there is no other way. So what is entropy? A lot of people ask me. This is the one I give you example. Tacos dead. I talk about example of Bob. Bob likes tacos. He has a $10. So I have to finish up fast, because he has a $10 tacos he buys. Then you have to pay for the on charge card. You got to pay 25 cents for the charge card. iPhone, he buys it to talk about it with your friends. You have to pay $125 for the interest rate. So pickup truck he wants to buy to pick up the tacos, you need a $5,125. On the right-hand side, the interest rate is going up all the time. So that never goes down. That is the entropy. Okay? So think about it a little bit. It's a very... So also, why it is entropy is the Twitter. For example, if you see why entropy is connected with the Twitter. If you see on the left-hand side, I wrote in English, doctor has admitted the patient. Everybody can read it, even though there's a lot of spelling mistakes. If you speak in my language, Andariki, hello, it is very difficult to find out what that is. In the Armaic language, you have a lot of much more complex. So Shannon entropy, Claude Shannon, what he did was he did computed the entropy of English language. It is 1.0 to 1.5 bits per letter. That's the lowest among all the languages. So English has redundancy in the grammar, commas, capital letters, small letters, periods. They're all constitute is easier. The abundancy of the entropy. Entropy does that. What it does is the lowest entropy creates that easy to understand. That's why it is a very powerful. English has a lowest entropy. That's why it's becoming the most popular language in the world. There are not other languages. So there is in the software updates, for example, everybody thinks free updates are free. They're not free. There's a technical version 1, version 2, version 3. There's a technical debt. It goes up. That's a software entropy. Entropy of the software goes up. So always, if you are a CEO of an hospital, you need to ask what it takes them to bring it back to the original version. What resources it takes. That is a measure of the entropy. Otherwise, you lose control completely. So that's why measuring the entropy is very important. So, for example, information chaos, money and time, information lost it costs you money and time. So all the hospital CEOs and all those people, when you're updating and you're throwing the versions, you must be careful. So information, this environment is also connected with entropy. People think, oh yeah, I can order from the phone and they deliver to my home. Everything. It causes, Robert Ayers said that, a renowned economist and physicist on the ardent support of low entropy, on the law of entropy, writes, we burn oil, we mine ores and smelt them into metals, which we fashion into goods, but we do so at the expense of the depletion of those irreplaceable natural resources. You're increasing, every time you order on the Amazon or any place, you're increasing the entropy, disorder. That's what manifestations into a lot of natural disasters. Think about that. Entropy is watching you behind. So even the entropy doesn't even spare the universe. The universe marches towards the end of the day. It marches towards the end of the destruction, and all the universe disappears. Eventually, black holes, a couple of black holes will be left. If the Bob survives during that time, in the last days of the universe, he can stay around the black hole, event horizon. He can survive there in hibernation. But even if he gets up and talk, or if he gets up and eats something, it causes the entropy goes higher. The entropy is gone. The universe is gone. So he has to sleep for a whole year. Maybe he has to get up, and all the humans in the last days, they get up once a year and eat, and then they go to bed because they cannot live. If they use thought, everything that you do, it causes the entropy to go higher, and the entropy goes bad. In India, there is a language called, there is a Lord Shiva, destruction of the universe. He actually ends the universe, and the cyclical universe starts again. So this is you all say thank you for all watching. So he's right. Erwin Schrodinger read the what is a life. You need to understand. So the negative entropy is the cause. So the entropy is also can create a ghost stuff like you. It's called Boltzmann brains. People like you can exist in the universe somewhere with your brain. That statistical mechanics allows you to do that. Physics allows you to do that. That is a Boltzmann brains, that you are somewhere, your brain is hanging around there. Thank you for watching, and think about the law of entropy, and good night, good afternoon, and have a nice day.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.